Welcome to PCS with Military.com. I'm your host, Amy Bouchatz, Military.com's executive editor. On this podcast, we talk about everything you need to know to make this military move season your best yet. PCS with Military.com is brought to you by Navy Federal Credit Union, proudly serving all branches of the armed forces, veterans, and their families. No matter where you are in your military career, Navy Federal Credit Union has the products and resources to help you navigate your finances. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. Our members are the mission. Now, let's get this PCS started. Moving is expensive. The military orders you to move, and they give you reimbursements and payments to make it happen. And yet, we all know that all of that cash help feels like it doesn't even scratch the surface on what it costs to relocate. In a separate episode, we talk about the entitlements and finances of military moves. That's not what we're doing here today. In this episode, we're talking about the hacks and tips for making the most of your military move from a discount or savvy military life tips perspective. And for that, we have former Navy spouse, genius behind the military spouse lifestyle site, Joe My Gosh, and Military.com social media guru, Joanna Guldin-Noll, to give us her very best advice from her travels around the military world. Joe, welcome to PCS with Military.com.
Thanks for having me, Amy. I'm really excited to talk with you.
Yeah, anytime we get to chat, I feel lucky. We work together and we don't get to talk very often. So this is fun for me.
Same here.
All right. So how many times did you move with or without the military? Talk to us about your experience.
So I counted it up, and over my lifetime, I think I've moved 12 to 13 times. Like if you count, childhood, college, the whole gamut.
Oh, I do. I count it.
And I kind of had three. I'm gonna say three moves with the military, which doesn't sound like a lot at all. But one of them was moving down to Virginia Beach to where my fiance was. So it was a move to be in the military community, but it wasn't like a sanctioned military move. And then, kind of a fun fact, my husband and I have only ever done ditty moves within the military. We had a situation where John was just stationed within Virginia. So we ditty moved twice. And then when he transitioned out, then we moved home.
Yeah. Yeah, but okay, so I mean, you're discrediting yourself with your quote unquote lack of military moves, but I think they all count, and I don't think you have to have a bajillion of them to know what you're talking about and to have experienced the challenges.
It's
that
funny because when people ask me how many moves, and I say, we had these like three moves, and other people are like, oh, I had like 10 or 12. You get like these very high numbers. And then I say, we only ditty move, then everybody's jaw hits the floor. So I think, it's just everybody has different experiences, and they're all valid, and they're all unique to the family.
Absolutely. And they all help you learn things that you can pass on, which is why we're so glad to have you here today. So, today you're coming to us from Pennsylvania, where you and your Navy veteran spouse, John, you mentioned, own two amazing coffee houses. I'm basing this description, by the way, off the fabulous coffee kits I've bought from you, not actually visiting your coffee stores. But I think that if
Someday,
any
Amy.
someday, and I think that people have picked up what I'm laying down, which is I like coffee. I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this before. So there you go. Okay. I want to talk about discounts generally first. Okay. So talk to us about the nuts and bolts of military discounts, who qualifies for one, and just like lay it out.
Sure. So, military discounts, I think for me, they're really fun to find out. Like, even if I'm not going to shop at that particular store, or even if it's, in a totally different state than I'm in, I always love seeing what businesses and organizations offer military families. And so, the idea of a military discount is twofold, really, when we get down to it. One, it's to express thanks and gratitude for what military families deal with, what they go through. I think everybody post 9/11 really understands the strain that military families are under. Um, the other is, it is a marketing tool.
Mm,
We know that military families are brand loyal to companies that understand and talk about military aspects, and they understand the service, they understand that lifestyle. So it's really a twofold tool. That said, the way that companies administer military discounts just runs the gamut. It could be a percentage off. It could be, if it's through a website, where you have to verify your military service through something like ID Me or another third party system. It might be for anybody in a military family, for a veteran. It really depends on the organization that is offering that discount.
mm, mm. And you say this, I mean, we mentioned just a moment ago that you are a business owner. So you talk about this from a business owner perspective as well.
Yeah, and actually, it's funny you say that, Amy. One of the first things when John and I were planning out our coffee shop, one of the things that we wanted to do, we live in a very heavily military, National Guard and Reserve area, as well as a very heavily veteran populated area, and
Mm,
we wanted to make sure that we were able to say, we understand it, we get it. This is our life too. And come on in, have a cup of coffee, and have this discount as part of our thanks. And that also brings up kind of another point. Sometimes it's not a discount. So we do offer a discount at our shop. But we also do a free coffee giveaway on Veterans Day. And so a
mm,
lot of times, um, a military discount or deal might come up around a certain holiday as well, usually Memorial Day, 4th of July, maybe Labor Day, and definitely Veterans Day. And it
yeah.
might look like something completely free.
Right. So who typically qualifies? Like, how do you, like, are we talking veterans? Are we talking active duty? Are we talking spouses? Who qualifies?
Well, that depends all on the organization. So, for example, um, Lowe's, which I love using Lowe's military discount for our family. You have to qualify through a third party system. I think it's ID Me,
Hmm.
to get a 10% off your purchase. And so when you go to the store, that the person who qualifies needs to use that discount. Um, and you go, you give your phone number, so that they can verify that it's already in the system, and then you get that discount. It's not just show up and say, hey, I'm a member of the military, I'm a military spouse.
Yeah.
For smaller businesses, like small businesses, um, or for Swatara Coffee Company, which is our shop, um, just come in and say, you're in the military. We have actually, or you're a veteran. We've actually had the situation quite a lot where people come in uniform because they're either coming home from work or going to work,
Mm.
and we're just like, hey, we can tell you're serving.
Yeah.
Here's your discount.
And if you're not and you went to this trouble, then you know what? You have other problems. Okay, so how do you find military discounts? And is how you find them for national stores different from how you find them for local chains or local stores, kind of like your coffee shop?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I have a process. The first thing is go to Military.com. We have a gigantic repository of military discounts that are constantly being updated. And so I think that's the number one place to go, especially if you're looking for national or regional discounts. We have them organized by the brand itself. We also have a lot of articles that have been lovingly created to, collate all of this information. So articles about, here are 7 great skiing discounts. Here are crafting discounts. All of those kinds of topical or holiday related discounts you can find on military.com. And we also have a newsletter that shares once a week some of those best discounts that are very important at that time.
Yeah, yeah. So you could pop on there, sign up for that newsletter right now, and still receive in the next couple of months newsletters that highlight specifically moving discounts and that kind of thing. So it's really a great time to do that. And Heather, our discount compiler, is very exacting in the process. So
Oh
so
yeah,
let me
she's a
just
discount diva.
yeah, this is when lovingly curated is maybe not even strong enough of a description because of the way she obsessively puts this together. She does a really good job of it, and she does that for Veterans Day too. So I mean, while we're on the subject, like, you want all the discounts in the land for Veterans Day, this chick's putting together like 500 plus of these every year for Veterans Day. It's a really incredible amount of work and then dedication to get that done. So you find them on military.com. Awesome. Do you can you just go to the store and ask?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think so. So my first go-to is military.com. Then my second go-to is if I know a particular, like I want to go to this particular store, I'll probably Google it, especially if it's a local store or a regional store that I wasn't able to find on military.com. I'll just Google, whatever the name of that store is, like Divine Swine, which is a barbecue place around here. I would Google that and military discount and see if anything pops up. So if it does pop up, then I can read what their stipulations are. If we qualify, like now, if it's a veterans discount, if it's just active duty, whatever it is. Um, if I can't find anything online, or if it's, I'm just out and about, I would absolutely ask as I'm checking out, just to see if they do offer a military discount. Um, I find a lot of times, if you're standing there and you're checking out and you're expecting them to ask you, are you a member of the military, or are you part of a military family? Chances are that's not going to happen.
Hmm.
The clerk or the barista or whoever, has a lot going on. And so now is not the time to be bashful. If you're interested in their military discount, then you want to say, hey, do you have something?
Yeah.
Um, and, I think it's really important to say too, um, a lot of times in businesses, if a particular discount isn't being used over a long period of time, they might do away with it.
Hmm.
So I don't think it's not rude or anything like that. Just ask and inquire. And if they don't have it, or if you don't qualify, if it's, if you're a military spouse and it's only for active duty, or you're a veteran and it's only for active duty, or whatever it is, and they say yeah, and you don't qualify, that's okay. I say thanks and continue on your day.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it does feel a little weird to ask about it, but I remind myself, like, they have this military discount for a reason, right? They want it to be used. What's weird is then being upset about it. So don't be that person. But definitely, if they say, yes, but only on Tuesdays, right? Oh, cool, great. I'll keep that in mind. The end. The conversation's now over. And I just always encourage people to definitely ask and then use about military discount. Businesses have it for a reason. It's not weird or entitled for you to inquire about using it. It's weird or entitled for you to then be upset when you can't. So
Yeah, actually, when John and I were dating, and we were, paying off student loan debts, and we were much younger in our careers, just starting out. At first, he was really, really reticent to ask about any military discount at all. And
hmm,
we were long distance dating, so I would sometimes visit him in Virginia Beach. He would sometimes visit me in Baltimore, and obviously in Virginia Beach, there's a lot more opportunity for military discounts. And I would always be the initiator to be like, hey, do you happen to have something? Because really, at that point, Every single dollar counted to us.
Sure.
And it, he got into the habit and got over that awkwardness of asking, but I think it's something that a lot of people feel weird about. But as a small business owner myself, we really want that discount to be used, and we've had conversations before where if a couple weeks go by and nobody has used it, we're like, oh, should we post about it again? Should we make sure
Mm.
that people are finding out about it, because we love the kind of community it creates, and we really want to say thank you because we know how hard military life can sometimes be, and we just want to extend that little bit of thanks.
So moving with the military is, like I said earlier, really expensive. And it's not because the military doesn't pay for things like hotels, but it just adds up. I mean,
Mhm.
so what are some of the hidden costs of military moves that you hear or have experienced yourself?
So for me, I think the hidden costs of military moves, because we diddied, um, looked like extra takeout,
Mm,
buying boxes, when we couldn't find, boxes from stores that fit the things we needed to fit, buying wardrobe boxes to move clothing, um, when we accidentally didn't secure something inside the moving van and we ended up busting a whole bunch of light bulbs,
yeah,
that kind of thing. Um,
which is now on you, not the movers you didn't have.
right. Yeah. There's no claims when you were just a dummy yourself. Or, things shifting. We had a drawer that fell out of a set of drawers that like literally shattered into sawdust. And it wasn't a great piece of furniture, but still your heart sinks a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, I think also when you are actually physically in your space, you always realize, oh, this window is a weird size and now we need to get different shades, or we need to get different curtains. Maybe you want to repaint the walls because they're a really gross color, yellow or whatever it is. Um, making your space into a home, I think
Mm.
also creates some extra costs. Even things like buying extra 3M strips to hang pictures or whatever that is. It's something that you oftentimes, or at least for me, somebody who may not be as adept as moving as somebody who has moved 30 times, might not add up right away.
Yeah, but I think there's always surprises too,
Oh,
you know?
absolutely.
Um, and it's funny that you mentioned the you can't blame the movers and, you realize that I have this we moved across town a couple of times, and so I guess it's technically a Diddy move, right? Although it was, Diddying into my trunk 17 times. And then one day with a U-Haul, right? But, when we did that, I remember thinking, gosh, I do not appreciate these movers enough. Like it is hard not to scratch and break your stuff. And I get like that's their profession and they should know how to not scratch and break my stuff. But I definitely scratched and broke my stuff between, with the like I don't know, 8-mile move.
Yeah, I mean, things happen, and even the best laid plans can fall apart very quickly.
Let's take a pause to thank our sponsor, Navy Federal Credit Union. You can let Navy Federal Credit Union help you save on moving expenses with one of their low rate credit cards. You'll enjoy a 5% lower average APR than the industry standard, plus rewards that don't expire as long as the account remains open. And they have 24/7 help from their US based member service team. Check out NavyFederal.org for more information. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Okay, so when we think about these PCSing costs, I mean, I tend to think about things like hotels or filling my gas tanks or curtains like you just mentioned. So, what are some PCS related costs that might be outside what people think about but have useful discounts available? Like let's bring these two subjects together.
Sure. I think The first place my brain automatically goes to is places like Lowe's or Home Depot, where you can buy you can buy cleaning supplies at Home Depot or Lowe's. You want to be able to be smart about it and check and make sure that you're getting the best price first of all. But they do have military discounts, and so you might be able to find some of those supplies that you need, either to clean up and move out, or to make your house clean up and move into your home, um, and buy those gallons of paint or what have you. um, I would also say if you move somewhere where you've never been before, and you're looking to learn more about the community, check out independent hardware stores.
Hmm.
They might have military discounts. A lot of hardware stores in this area do have military discounts, or they have military days,
Hmm.
or they have a Memorial Day sale or a Veterans Day sale that is particular to the military community. And I think that's always really nice too, to support independent small business, and to make your dollars go a little bit further than they might, at a big box store.
It's also such a good way to get to know your new community. It's just I like shopping small because I like to know where I live. I like to know the people who live there and meet them, and shopping at their stores is kind of the first step to doing that in a lot of ways.
Absolutely. And especially now, with the pandemic, I think it is really hard to get out and to meet people. So, if you're already running your errands, um, you know, checking out a local business is a really good way to do that.
We've talked a lot about in-person discounts. We haven't really talked about online discounts. You mentioned ID Me in passing, which is a service that actually partners with the VA, where you enter your, I don't know, for lack of a better description, military service credentials, and then have a login there. And so then every time you log into ID Me, you are terms automatically. Why couldn't I get that word out? Certified because you've already gone through the process. And of course, it's entirely possible to put in your serviceman spouse's information in there and just use his or her login going forward, which I have no problem doing because inevitably, I mean, how often am I buying family stuff? Like we're not rolling in there buying things that don't impact the whole family. So I don't have a problem leveraging that sort of workaround when he's not around. But a lot of online retailers offer military discounts as well that could be pertinent to moving. I'm thinking like Bed Bath and Beyond and that kind of
Hmm.
place.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And again, with the pandemic, a lot of times it's just easier to, if you can make that purchase online and, get the military discount, have it shipped directly to you so you don't have to go and pick it up or, haul it back. That's really wonderful as well.
So, okay, we've talked about in person, like moving into your house costs. We've talked about finding them. What are some like other ways, other I don't know, types of costs that you might have in the process of moving? I'm thinking about like getting from point A to B.
Like road tripping.
Road
Um,
tripping.
yeah, so I love road tripping. As a kid, we did tons of road trips over the summer across the country. And when John got out of the military, we used, some of his terminal leave to do a huge trip around the United States.
Of which I
Um,
was very jealous. I remember this.
I'm so glad we did it. And we actually used this process where, we would chart out, our day's plans the night before or like 2 nights before. And then we would go through and we would check for military discounts along the way to see, what places that we were already going to might have something. So, for instance, the national parks have a
Mm.
completely free pass, that gets you into like all federally managed lands, with the exception of some parking fees, which we found out when we went to Mount Rushmore. So we
Ah,
got into
yes.
Mount Rushmore for free, but you cannot park there for free with
No.
the America the Beautiful card.
Man, I'll tell you that Mount Rushmore kind of nickels and dimes. We drove there too. I think it's a very popular cross country PCS destination because it really is in the middle of nowhere, and you've experienced not a lot until you get to that point. And you might as well go to Mount Rushmore if you're driving by. Anyway, I same experience. You know, you get in there and you're like, what parking?
Yeah, so and I think that's something that you're not used to because most national parks don't charge for parking, but apparently there are a couple that do. But throughout our road trip, I mean, we added up, and this is a couple years ago now, but we saved literally hundreds of dollars on park fees by
Mm,
picking up the America the Beautiful card. And you can either you can call in for it and get it sent to you, or like we did, when you show up to to the kiosk there as you're gonna go into the national park, you can sign up for it there like on the spot. And
yeah.
so all you need is your military ID to do so, and it's good for a year. Um, it's hands down like my favorite travel military discount of all time. We loved it and used it over and over and over again. And it makes you feel not guilty if you're driving through and you can only spend one day at Yosemite or one day at Yellowstone, which is such a short time, but you haven't spent the entire park fee on it, so you can see what you're able to see and keep going and not feel like I do, that guilt of like, oh, we didn't spend enough time and we spent so much money on this.
No, but that's totally a thing, right? Like I can't even tell you how many times I've used a military discount and then didn't spend the full amount of time there because it didn't cost me the full amount of money.
Right. And when you're crushed for time, if you just need a place to like get out and stretch your legs, take a couple hours and like look at something amazing. Um, and there are tons, it's not just big like national parks like that. It also works for smaller national parks or historic sites. Um, Even national forests, places that you might not otherwise think about visiting. Something else you might want to think about, um, if you're PCSing during the summer or traveling during the summer, Blue Star Families has Blue Star museums.
Mm,
And now I'm not sure I don't think they've announced what they're going to do this year because of the pandemic, but normally it's a huge network of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of museums all over the country. And usually they are based in military heavy areas, but not always. There are a lot that are just spread out all over the place, but that you can go for free. And John and I have used that at places like Woodrow Wilson's birthplace in Staunton, Virginia,
mm.
um, where I think it saved us like maybe an admission of $20 or something like that. They have tons of children's museums and zoos and family friendly places that are available as well. So as you're planning out your PCS, your route, you might want to hop on and check out and see if there are any Blue Star family um, museums or sites close by. And even if you don't know if they are, you can always ask. John and I actually fell into that at the Ephrata Cloister, which is literally 15 miles away from where we live now. And we had no idea they were a Blue Star Families Museum and just went in to check it out and be, staycationers. And I just happened to ask if they were part of it, and they were.
Oh, that's so great. Yeah, and like you said, asking never hurts. And a little note about the pandemic. Yeah, I mean, who knows what's going to be open this summer? So we are just rolling, assuming that anyone listening to this should just assume they need to ask and double check on everything that's going on, because that's that sweet pandemic life. Don't take our word for it and show up. Just make sure that you call ahead or check out the website. And that goes for the national parks too, by the way.
Mhm.
I am
Absolutely.
super obsessive about national parks, as Joe knows. And and we recently went on vacation in Hawaii and visited one of the national parks there, where they had said on the website that the visitor center had, I mean, basically the website said sporadic hours between 10 and noon, and I assumed that meant they were there from 10 to noon. And that is not what it meant. It meant they were there sometimes between 10 and noon. So you got to just sort of be flexible and roll with it. Another side note about the National Park Pass: while this is a podcast for people who are PCSing, not people who are out of the military, they did extend that to veterans as well. So if you are no longer a military family member at some point after listening to this, know that you can also get a park pass as a veteran, which is pretty exciting. It opens it up to a whole lot of people. All right, sort of circling back, we've talked about Blue Star Families, we've talked about looking on Military.com, we've talked about online retailers. Is there any specific best way to find military move related discounts?
I would say 2 things. Again, Military.com and check out all those deals and discounts. Um, and then I would make a list of
Hmm.
the things, that you want, that you need, that are going to come up, and then seek those out specifically if you can't find them. And I think Google is a great tool for this. Whatever that thing is, that item is, or, if it's a particular brand of something that you need, um, I would Google that plus military discount. Um,
Yeah.
if you are able to, or give them a call if you know it's a business. Um, I do think that when it comes to local or regional discounts, the best way, because a lot of small businesses, even regional businesses, may not advertise it online. Give them a call or walk in and ask.
Hmm.
Um, I did that for this sounds a little crazy, but I did that for planning our wedding and, for the venue, and asked if they had a military discount, and we ended up getting 10% off
Oh,
our
nice.
venue fee.
Yeah.
And that was something completely unadvertised, something, that had I not brought up that John was currently deployed and, we were trying to figure out how to make this happen, it wouldn't have come up.
Yeah. Yeah, and on the subject of organizing, while there is no right or wrong order to listen to PCS with Military.com podcast episodes, if you have listened to the episode on your PCS binder, this would be a great thing to have as a tab in there. You've got your moving plan, you've got your road trip plan. Why not make a list of, upcoming expenses, as you probably are anyway, and then dovetail that with possible discounts or places to look into. Maybe even put a checkbox next to any given thing with a note on which store offers a discount. Save yourself a little bit of cash in the process, because that stuff adds up, like we've been talking about.
Oh yeah. And I think too, one of those things you might want to think about is once you get to your destination, how are you going to explore the community? How are you going to integrate yourself into it? Um, One of those ways, really is seeking out some fun activities or entertainment and see if they have a military discount. A really cool one, if you're in the Virginia Beach or the Hampton Roads area, Busch Gardens offers what they call Waves of Honor, where once a year, if you're active duty, um, you can get a free pass to Busch Gardens, and up to three other free passes for your dependents.
Oh
So
yeah, we
that
love that
that's
program.
amazing.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And what
uh
better way to like learn about your new area or to blow off some steam after a PCS than to go spend essentially a free day at an amusement park?
Absolutely, if they're open. Womp
It's there.
womp.
Yeah. And, I think too, if you're PCSing to an area that's not particularly, military heavy, like Hampton Roads is obviously very, very military heavy. But we've experienced military discounts at, amusement parks and places of entertainment in places like Pittsburgh.
Mm,
Kennywood there offers a really great military discount. You just need to ask about it. And we were floored. We actually went with John's sister, and she did the asking, and was like, "Hey, do you happen to have like a military discount for this guy?" And it ended up being a very sizable discount that was really exciting. Um, you know, I think the best way is just to ask and see what
absolutely.
happens.
So true. Joe, thank you so much for joining us on PCS with Military.com. I really appreciate your expertise.
Thanks for having me, Amy. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks so much for listening to PCS with Military.com. Want more PCS advice? Check out the rest of our episodes wherever you get your podcasts. A special thanks to our sponsor, Navy Federal Credit Union, proudly serving all branches of the armed forces, veterans, and their families. No matter where you are in your military career, Navy Federal Credit Union has the products and resources to help you navigate your finances. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. Our members are the mission.